Breaking news from the Eastern Front, dated December 22, 2025. The big headline: Russian infantry fails to regain Pokrovsk.
And this is after 17 long months, Alex. 17 months where Moscow treated this city like a political and strategic imperative.
They threw everything at it: elite forces, their primary operational reserves, just a massive amount of manpower.
All of it demanding a victory before the clock ran out on 2025.
And the outcome: it's a catastrophic operational failure for the Kremlin. It just confirms that overwhelming numbers, when they're mismanaged, they just can't overcome a strategically flexible, modern defense.
I think this is the moment the Russian general staff has to confront the limits of their attrition strategy.
Yep.
It's not working.
And if you want timely, in-depth reports like this one, reports that cut right through the propaganda and give you real analysis, you need to be with us. Subscribe to Defense Reports. It's your go-to source. I'm Alex.
And I'm Mario.
And in this deep dive by Defense Report, we're giving you a sharp, no-nonsense breakdown of what just happened at Pokrovsk. This was a campaign that committed Russia's finest, the 76th Stov Air Assault Division, and over 155,000 troops.
Their mission was simple: secure a critical Donbass hub.
Their result: total failure.
So today we're going to get into not just that Russia failed, but how Ukraine managed to turn a situation of near encirclement into, well, a significant counteroffensive success. It's really a masterclass in modern defense.
Okay, let's unpack this. To really get the depth of this Russian failure, you have to understand why Pokrovsk became this magnet for such a relentless, brutal effort. Why this city?
Well, Pokrovsk is basically the beating heart of Ukrainian
Kremlin.
Oh, immense. The sources confirm that after almost a year and a half of fighting, the political demand was simple and non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Take the city at any cost by the end of 2025.
Which of course creates this insane pressure on commanders to show results, even if they aren't actually getting them.
And that desperation leads us right into the information war. Just isolated flag operations.
What does that even mean, a flag operation?
It's pure propaganda. You picture these small, desperate Russian assault teams using the thick winter fog for cover. They sneak into the absolute outskirts of the city, they raise a flag just long enough for a quick photo op, and then they retreat before they get surrounded.
And Ukrainian forces just clean them up afterwards.
Immediately. It showed that the official story in Moscow had absolutely no resemblance to the grim reality their own troops were facing.
But even with Russia inflating its claims, sources show that Kyiv knew how dangerous the situation was. Commander-in-Chief Syrskyi himself said in early December the defense was at an extremely difficult stage.
They were. They were facing a very real threat of semi-encirclement, a cauldron as they call it. But the brilliance of the Ukrainian response was recognizing that holding every single meter of ground that was secondary to preserving their combat power.
You can always retake ground, but you can't replace experienced soldiers.
That's the logic. So they made that very difficult call to maneuver, which leads us to this strategy of trading space for time.
So talk us through that. What did this tactical maneuver actually look like?
It was a painful, but a very highly organized tactical withdrawal. The units involved, especially the experienced 25th Air Assault and 68th Jaeger Brigades, they pulled back from these really exposed counteroffensives. They retook a huge area, 72 square kilometers in total.
72 square kilometers. In this kind of grinding positional war, that is a massive operational gain. Where did those gains matter the most?
They were surgically precise. So 16 square kilometers were retaken in the northern districts of Pokrovsk, which pushed the immediate threat away from the city itself. But the real game changer was the 56 square kilometers they retook to the west, places like Frontline and Donetsk.
And why was that western area so important?
Because that's where the
The SCOV paratroopers, this is not just some regular unit.
No, this is their elite, the VDV. These are Russia's best, their most highly trained airborne troops.
Yeah.
They were being held in operational reserve, a strategic asset, probably meant for a big breakthrough somewhere else, maybe Zaporizhia.
But the political need for a win in Pokrovsk was so desperate they threw this elite force into a meat grinder.
And the casualty figures, they're just shocking. There are credible reports of this division being shredded. On December 11th alone, Russian casualties in this one sector were estimated at 1,400 killed and wounded.
In one day.
One day. And here's the critical part. Over 505 of those were eliminated solely by Ukrainian drone operators.
Wow. Over a third of the day's losses just to drones. That says so much about this fight.
It does. It forces Russia into this completely unsustainable cycle.
To replace their elite losses.
And that desperation, it led to that disastrous assault on December 12th, the one with the motorcycles.
Right, the tactical disaster. Tell us about that.
Perfect case study. Russian infantry were trying this wild tactic, using motorcycles and quad bikes. The idea, I guess, was that these low-profile, fast vehicles might be The goal isn't to hold every inch of territory, but to deny the enemy any kind of large presence through constant surveillance and fire.
We've heard about this new 2,000-kilometer fortification line, the Fortress Belt. How is it actually engineered for this new kind of drone war?
Depth is the key. The zone extends a full 35 to 40 kilometers from the actual contact line, and every single inch is under constant drone surveillance. It's an active system.
And what about the physical obstacles?
They're layered. You have your standard anti-tank ditches, but they're often reinforced with things like barbed wire at the bottom. Then you have the dragon's teeth, those concrete pyramids, but, this is clever, they're connected by thick metal cables.
So a bulldozer can't just push them aside?
It can't. And for infantry, they're using things like plutonka.
Explain that. What's plutonka?
It's brutally simple and effective. It's just thin metal wires stretched low to the ground. It's a trip hazard, basically. It slows a soldier down for maybe 2 or 3 seconds.
But in a drone war, 2 or 3 seconds is an eternity.
It's all an FPV drone operator watching from kilometers away needs to acquire a target and neutralize it. And they're even protecting the drone operators themselves with these micro-fortifications, dugouts covered with metal roofing and even fishing nets to catch incoming enemy drones.
So they're building this physical barrier, but they're also choking the enemy's ability to even get to the fight, the logistical denial.
That's the battlefield air interdiction focus, systematically denying Russia tactical logistics. A key moment was when an airstrike took out the road connecting Seladov and Pokrovsk.
What does taking
Russia's
out
defense
one road
ministry
really
released
do?
footage
It
at the
forces
start of
Russian
December
units to use
said to
these
show its
low-volume,
soldiers in the
high-risk
center of
resupply
Pokrovsk. The
So on
Kremlin
foot,
said military
we're using
commanders
light
have
ATVs.
reported to President
And as
Vladimir
we saw with the
Putin a
motorcycle
full
assault,
capture
those
of
are
the eastern
incredibly
Ukrainian
vulnerable to
rail
drone
and road
drops.
hub, along
It
with
just
another town
exacerbates
to
the
its
attrition
north.
they're already
Ukraine's military,
So this
which has been
tactical
fending
failure
off
at
Russian
Pokrovsk,
advances
it
in
has ripples
Pokrovsk
far
since
beyond the battlefield,
mid-2024,
right? It hits
dismissed
Russia
the
politically
claims.
and economically.
So why has
timing
Russia
from
fought
Moscow
so
is
long
just
for its
terrible.
control?
Failing to take Pokrovsk means they
Pokrovsk is a
can't walk into
logistics
the
and
Miami
transport
peace
base
negotiations,
in
which
eastern
are happening
Ukraine's
right now
Donetsk
from a
province.
position of
It sits
strength.
on a
They
key
needed
road
big wins
used
to
by
back
the
up their
Ukrainian
demands at the
military
table.
to
And instead,
supply
they got a
other
tactical
outposts.
disaster. This
Its
success
pre-war
on the Donbass
population
front
of
just
60,000
bolsters
have
Kyiv's
now
resolve.
mostly fled
It
the
gives them
battered
zero
city.
incentive to concede
Nearby
territory
is Ukraine's
or
only
negotiate
mine
under
producing
pressure.
coke
And what
and
about
coal
the
used
economic
in its
strain?
once
Can the
vast
Russian
steel
economy actually
industry.
sustain this
Operations
kind of
are
high attrition
currently
warfare?
suspended.
The signs of structural strain are becoming
Through to
very
late
clear.
November,
Independent
Ukraine was
assessments
still known
put the
to be
real
in
inflation
control
rate
of
for
about
ordinary
10%
Russians
of the
at over
Donbass
20%.
region, which
We also
Russia
saw that
wants
huge
in its
move from their
entirety.
central bank
It's
in
an
November.
area
We
of
did.
just under
The
2,000
cost of the
square
war
miles
forced them
in the
into an
northern Donetsk
unprecedented
Oblast,
move,
or province
selling physical
in the
gold
Donbass.
reserves to fund
Russian
the war.
media calls Pokrovsk
That's a huge
the
red
gateway
flag.
to Donetsk.
It shows the war is
Capturing
eating
it
away
would give
at the
Moscow
core
a
health of their
platform to
economy.
drive north
And then there's the most
towards
critical
the two
resource of all,
biggest remaining
manpower.
Ukrainian-controlled
The
cities
numbers here
in
are stark.
Donetsk,
Ukrainian
Sloviansk,
general
and
staff data
Kramatorsk.
suggest
Here's
Russia's
Rob Lee,
average monthly
senior fellow
losses,
at the
around
US-based Foreign Policy
34,600,
Research
now
Unit,
actually
in an
exceed its
interview
monthly
in
recruitment
November.
rate
I
about
think Sloviansk Kramatorsk is really
32,800.
still the most
So they're
kind of
losing
vital,
more men than
important
they
part
can
of
replace. The
Moscow
pool
versus
of
Ukraine.
quality fighters is
It's still
actively
the,
shrinking.
Constantly
center for
shrinking.
command and control for
And yet,
logistics,
despite all this,
and
the
for,
official
for
Russian
holding
narrative
Russia's
hasn't
frontline
changed
kind
a
of
bit.
operates in these two
The
cities.
cognitive warfare,
It
the
would also
exaggerated
give
claims,
Moscow its most
all designed to
important
mask
single
the reality.
territorial
A reality
gain
which is that the
inside
offensive
Ukraine
has stalled.
since it
Completely.
took Avdiivka,
In 1 week in
not
December,
far
they
from
gained only
Pokrovsk
9
in
square
early
miles of territory.
2024.
That's a
That
six-fold
is key
decrease
for
from the week
Moscow
before.
to show the
So,
West it is
what's the
set to
big
capture
picture here?
all
What
of
does the
Donetsk,
story of Pokrovsk
and that it would be
tell us
better
about
for
where
Kiev
this
to
war is
voluntarily
now?
hand
I
it
think the
over
core
as part of a
synthesis is
peace
this.
deal, a
The
condition
Russian model
Ukraine
of
has
warfare,
repeatedly
the one that
rejected.
relies on mass and attrition
Starting
and
in
just a complete
mid-2024,
disregard
Moscow's
for
advance
casualties,
on
has
Pokrovsk
hit its
involved a
operational
gradual
limit.
encircling
It's
of the
reached
city
its ceiling
instead of a
against a
full frontal
determined,
assault.
technologically
Its
advanced,
military
and
deployed
flexible
small
opponent.
units and
Ukraine's
drones to
success wasn't
disrupt
about having
Ukrainian
more
military
tanks. It was
logistics
about
before
superior
sending in larger
situational awareness and
reinforcements.
this new
Kiev
integrated
has said
kill zone
Russian
defense.
forces
They've
suffered
successfully
huge
seized
losses
the
in the
operational
offensive.
initiative in a critical sector.
Moscow
It's a
says it is the
fascinating
much
look at how
smaller
modern
Ukraine
warfare
that
is
risks
evolving in
running
real
out
time.
of men,
And this
that
failure,
its
when you
own
couple it
slower
with the economic
tactics were
data,
designed
it raises
to minimize
a huge strategic
casualties.
question.
Ukraine's
does.
incursion into
Given that
Russia's
Russia
Kursk
is
region last
demonstrably
year, which
losing
Moscow
more men
fought
than it
back,
can recruit,
slowed the
and
Russian
is now
attack
selling
on
off
Pokrovsk
national
too.
assets to fund this fight. How long can the
Reuters was
Kremlin
able to
realistically
verify the
sustain
location
an
in the
offensive
Russian
that relies
Defense Ministry
entirely
video as
on these
Pokrovsk,
costly,
though not the
suicidal
date
human
it
wave
was
tactics?
filmed.
That is the
Dismissing
question that's
Moscow's
going to
claim of
define
victory,
2026.
the Ukrainian
You've
military
been listening
said
to
it was
Defense
holding the
Report by
city's
Alex
north
and Aaron,
and
where we
launching
analyze
attacks
the
in the
latest
south.
in military
Reuters
strategy,
was unable
global
to
defense,
verify
and
battlefield
advanced
reports
weaponry.
from either
Subscribe
side
to
due
Defense Reports.
reporting
It's your
restrictions
go-to
in the
source
war
for
zone.
timely,
Russia's
in-depth
report
military
also came
and
ahead
defense
of
reports.
a planned meeting
We'll catch you next
between
time.
Putin and US negotiators in Moscow, coinciding with a build-up to the talks on ending the war.